Okay, sorry, I'm in the hotel again, and I tried to do it down in the lobby because the lobby is really, really pretty, but there were so many people down there, and it was really noisy. So here I am in my room. At least I'm doing a different angle. Last one I did on the patio, so at least now you get a little bit different background. Okay, I took notes again, don't be mad. Wonderful day. I love bike tours, it's my favorite. And then I went to the show tonight. So a few cool things about Berlin that I learned during my tour today. One, you'll see in some of the videos, there's these crazy above ground water pipes, like everywhere. Turns out Berlin is on swampland. So anytime they want to build, they have to pump the water out of wherever they are building. And they have decided to do this with above ground pipes, and each time there's a new building, they just tap into one of the existing ones. And so it's a whole to-do. And I guess they did some research to find out what colors to make these pipes. And from aesthetically pleasing things and things that make children happy, they go with bright colors. So you'll literally see bright blue, bright pink pipes all above ground, all over the place. Anyways, thought that was fascinating, along with the little guys and their hats on the crosswalk signals. It just makes me smile. Berlin is essentially brand new. I mean, it's crazy compared to every other city that I've been in because of all of the damage from the bombing during the World War II. Everything had to be rebuilt. They tried to mimic the style for some of the buildings, like the Royal Palace, which Germany hasn't had royalty since the mid 1870s, 60s, like prior to that. And so they tried to rebuild a palace that got destroyed. Anyways, everything is like trying to look old, but really very, very new, or they didn't even bother trying to look old and it's just new. So Berlin is a totally different looking city than any of the historical cities that I've been in. There's very few churches. I'm on the east side of Berlin, and most of the tour took place on the east side of Berlin, which was controlled by the Soviets, and they were communist and not really a faith-based type country, and so they actually did away. They didn't destroy all the churches, but they converted them to just meeting places and for other purposes and uses, and some of them were restored back to being churches after the unification of Germany, but most, there just aren't that many churches. It's kind of fascinating. It's just very different from all the other cities. Found out that there's this giant, like, it looks like a radio tower. It's one of the tallest points in the city, and it was built by the Swedes because this was in East Berlin. I'm sorry, I thought this was fascinating. And for anybody who knows anything about World War II history, communism, capitalism in Berlin, and a lot of the young, smart engineers and people who had the potential to design and build things were leaving. They were running away to West Berlin or to the West in general. And so the Soviets didn't have anybody to build their tower. And so they had to have the Swedes do it. So I thought that was fun. There's a lot of historical significance, kind of like what I saw when I was in Munich in March. It's amazing. I saw the National Library where the book burning happened in 1933 in May, and they have, it's not a big memorial, it's in the ground in front of the library is a glass square, and you can look down and it's just empty bookshelves, and it's meant to represent the 20,000 books that were burned that day. So there's enough shelving to fill with 20,000 books. So kind of a cool depiction, like a way to show that. So that was really cool. And then I saw the Reichstag, which also 1933, there was the Reichstag fire. Anyways, I'm talking all about history because I really, really, really like history, and there's so much of it here. It's fascinating. The tour included climbing the Victory Tower, which was really cool. 282 steps to the top of that, and got a pretty view up there. Funny story there. When the Allies got to Berlin at the end of the war, there are pieces on this victory tower that commemorate the defeat of the Danish, the French, and the Austrians by the Prussians back in the day. And the French did not like some of the depictions. And so you'll see in one of my pictures or videos, they actually, when the Allies came to Berlin, they took these reliefs off the side of the victory tower and took them back to France. And then like 46 years later, they gave them back. And they gave them back with pieces of the reliefs like scraped off. Just found it humorous. The tour guide said something about the relationships between the different countries in Europe are like petulant children throwing tantrums at each other for centuries. He's from Chile, so he's not really speaking from a place of representing any of these countries. He says he sees it from the outside perspective, and that's what it looks like to him. So that was a little bit funny. Saw Brandenburg Gate, Checkpoint Charlie, the cobblestones all along the ground that show where the Berlin Wall used to be. So you can actually, as you're just going about the city, because it went all about like this, it was meant to go north-south, but obviously buildings and other things inhibited it. So you see just cobblestones in the street. So it's just kind of cool to see that history all over the place when you're going about. We saw the remaining standing portion of the Berlin Wall and its actual location. There's a museum behind it that I'm going to go to tomorrow. It was the headquarters for the SS. So it's like the Terror Museum. That sounds terrible, but I can't remember what it was actually called. And the memorial to the loss of the Jews in Europe was incredible. There was some sort of contest and an architect came up with the idea. There's these stones. I didn't do any videos or any pictures there, but it was really meaningful and impactful just to see that and to kind of take a deep breath and mourn them, and just kind of be in that place was a cool experience to have. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, I learned about what the death strip. So it turns out the Berlin Wall wasn't just one wall. It was kind of two sections with an area in between them. One side being monitored by the Soviets, one side being monitored by the Allies, depending on what area it was in. And the land in between was actually filled with sand in order to detect footprints if somebody tried to get through. And people were essentially caught in the middle there and shot on sight. So that's called the death strip. I did not realize that. I thought there was just one wall, and I studied history. I had no idea. It's fascinating. After the tour was over, there was this guy, Jevin, who was on my bike tour. And after it was over, we decided to go wander the city a little bit together. And he is Blake's age. He looked a little bit older. I thought he was probably mid to late 20s, but he's 23, just like Blake, which is fascinating to me. Super nice guy, lives in Perth, Australia. His family is, originally they were from Kenya. So just like Karen that I met a couple days ago, I don't know, I'm meeting people from Kenya. It's fascinating. Love meeting all these people. And he is studying, he's getting his PhD in genetics and neuroscience. He wants to study and do research and help with nerve diseases. So he was fascinating. And he had this idea that someone had told him about this airport. And actually our tour guide mentioned it too, Tempelhofer Field. And it's where the Berlin Airlift took place, for anybody who knows what the Berlin Airlift was. The Soviets blockaded the area of West Germany that linked Berlin to outside of Germany. And so we couldn't get supplies into Western Berlin at that time. And so there was the Berlin Airlift from 1948 to 1949, where they were dumping like dozens of deliveries every day of food and supplies to Western Berlin. So that was fascinating. So we went out there, and it is all locals. It was totally out of like the tourist area. It's not like a tourist place that people go. It was just families and Berliners having time and hanging out, and it's like a big old park now. And so that was really cool. We just went and had a beer there, and then we tried to find some food, but then I was in a hurry because I had this show to go to. So my video is now 10 minutes long. I am sorry, but I had a lot going on today. And the Arise show, where we weren't allowed to take pictures or video during the show, but at the end I was able to get one little picture and video. It's kind of like Cirque du Soleil meets a burlesque show. So I've been to a couple Cirque shows, and it's just a little bit more on the burlesque side than the ones I've seen in even in Vegas. It's further than that. Magic, acrobats, dancing, singing, all kinds of stuff. One little funny tidbit is an hour into the show, there was an intermission. I didn't know it was an intermission. I thought the show was over. I just thought it was really short. Luckily, I went to the bathroom before I left and then realized nobody was leaving. And so then I reassessed the situation and went, oh, it's only halfway done, and went back in. But all the commentary was in German. So even though some of the songs were in English and I enjoyed the spectacle and the performance, there was some underlying commentary and detail and plot line going on along throughout the whole show. No idea. It was all in German, but I still enjoyed myself. So good day all around. Sorry for the long video. Good morning. I am up and about, heading to my bike tour of Berlin. 1.5 kilometer walk to the meeting point, and then it's an all-day bike ride, I think from 10 to 4 or 5. So excited. 40% chance of rain, so I did have to bring my little backpack with my umbrella and a raincoat, but hopefully I won't need them. Here's the other little crosswalk dude for reference. They wear hats. These cobblestones mark the dividing line between East and West Berlin. Alright, I am in West Berlin. You can see an American flag there behind me at Checkpoint Charlie. Berlin Wall. Bike tour, going through the Tiergarten in Berlin. Bike tours were my favorite of all the tours. So much fun. And I got new sunglasses. All right, I'm on top of the Victory Tower looking out on Berlin. This is the Tiergarten, or one section of it. Many sections of it all around this 360 degrees. This is my friend Javen, or Jevin. Sorry, said it wrong. Jevin. All right, I just said bye to my friend Jevin. I need to get back to the hotel and change clothes, get ready for my Arise show. Okay, I managed to eat some pizza, get changed and cleaned up a little bit. Now I'm walking because 15-minute by train or 19-minute walk seems like a no-brainer. So I'm walking to get to, Friedrich Strasse something. And the show starts in about a half an hour. So anyways, a little bit about this show. And I only know a little bit because it was highly rated on TripAdvisor. So that's why I booked tickets to it. I don't actually know what it is. It's called Arise. And I saw it on a billboard here in Berlin since I've been here during the tours day. And so we'll see. I'm just winging it, trusting TripAdvisor to not lead me astray. So I will let you know how it turns out. Okay, this place is really fancy.